Hi and welcome to a very cool Swift and Parse tutorial. Today we will improve our long companion Swiffer even further. We will give it a cool direct messages feature as well as some improved reload functions so that every time when a new suite is sent to the server, we will refresh the timeline completely automatically. And I'm going to demo these new features to you now. So let me start with the update feature. I'm going to write a new suite. Let's say hello great push feature and click on done. And as soon as I have suited my message, it appears on the screen. I have an iPod Touch here as a demo device so that you can see what's going on, because in Simulator, these remote notifications do not work. You have to use a real device for that. And let me also show you the direct messages feature. So I will click on direct message and we will get a list of all of our users. We can also search for users. I'm going to search for user 3. So I could also just type 3 here and the list updates automatically. And when I click on it, we will get a alert view and I can type in a message. Hi there, send this one. And we will get a push notification on our iPod screen. So that's what we're going to do today, and let's get right into it. Before we begin, let's just clean up a little bit so that we have no problems creating more stuff in our app. Let me first thank you for your cool messages. I see that you have used and tested the app. I will now delete the messages so that that we have a fresh start and no problems with any kind of strange situations coming from strange data sets. So let's remove all the users that have no profile image here. And let me talk a little bit about push notifications using Parse. Well, push notifications are extremely cool. You have the ability to send push notifications via the Parse web interface, and you can also say to which kind of segment you want to send the push notification. I will show you how to define these segments in a minute. You can also choose, if you develop an app for different platforms, to which platform this should actually be sent. And you can also say what message should be displayed, and you can schedule them and so on. Well, the problem with push notifications are that you have to do a whole lot of configuration. So to help you with that, check out the documentation in Parse, click on push notifications and see the tutorial. You will see that these are some lot of steps required. You have to use your keychain access and certificates in the iOS Dev Center. So also note that you can only work with remote notifications if you have an active developer membership, iOS developer membership with Apple. If not, you are not able to get the correct provisioning profile, which is necessary to work with remote notifications, because you have to sync this with the certificate. You have to request a certificate. This is done from your local keychain access. Then you go to the Dev Center and you have to create a certificate, download it, and then you will, after some hours, you will get the Parse development push certificate as a P12 file. You then upload this P12 file to your app in the settings, and when you've done that, then you can actually go to your Xcode you must make sure that the bundle identifier is the same as the bundle identifier you have entered in the app ID in the development area in the Dev Center of Apple. So now let's first check what's happened to our app. So when you're finished with the last tutorial and you just open it up again, now this is beta 3 of Xcode, and you build it, then you will notice that you will get 2 errors and 2 warnings. So let's have a look at the errors. First, we will see that the syntax for arrays has changed a little bit. So there is no more brackets after the data type. The brackets go now around the data type. So let's just change that. Build again. This error is gone. So let's go to the next one. Here it says that NS object is not convertible to a string, or any object is not convertible to a string. So let's use an NS string instead. Build it, and also this error is gone. So let's go to the next error. There we see that there is a deprecation. Dismiss view controller animated is no longer available in iOS 8. So let's use the proper one, which is this miss view controller animated, flag it with true. Completion handler is not needed, so nil. And that's this error. And now let's go to the warning, which is another syntax change. So let's also do a quick fix here and place these brackets around the data type any object. So let's build it again, and I think we're good to go. So let's start with preparing our app for remote notifications. Therefore, we will go to app Delegate. And in app Delegate, there are some steps necessary to actually make this work. So let's start in did finish launching with options. We'll first create a list of notification types that shall be available to our app. So we'll define this constant called notification types, which is of type UI user notification type, equals. And now let's create our list, and we want 3 things. We want UI user notification type.alert pipe to combine this list, and we will also need UI user notification type.badge. And let's also give us some more space here. Let's also use UI user notification type sound is the last one. If you want to use sounds, then you have also to define this one. So let's now check out the settings of our notifications. So notification settings, which are UI user notification settings equals UI user notification settings. And now we will say for type, and this is for types. Actually, this is now our list here. Let's say notification types, and the categories we will set to nil. The categories are those new fancy and cool options that you can display to your users when a new notification arrives. So you can see that in another tutorial, which you can see a link now. So check this one out, and you can combine it with this remote notification tutorial. And now let's also use UI application.shared application register user notification settings. And now let's register our notification settings. Great. Notification. I will have to write that myself. Register user notification settings. Notification settings. Well, Let's hope auto-completion gets a little better again. Now, we will have to use some delegate methods of the UI application delegate. And the first one we will use is did register, which actually should work now. Our application, yes, did register for user notification settings, which we did here. We requested to register for user notification settings, and this delegate is the corresponding one here. And in this delegate method, we have to register for remote notifications. So let's say a UI application, shared application, and then let's register for remote notifications. All right. Now that we have registered for remote notifications, we will also have to implement this delegate method, which is called application, did register for remote notifications with device token, which is this one. And we'll come to that in a minute. Let's first do another implementation, which is application did fail to register for remote notifications with error. This helps us, we can just say print line. This helps us to localize any errors that occur when registering for remote notifications, and it also tells you that when you run the app in the simulator that remote notifications do not work within the simulator. So that's the did fail, delegate method. Now let's talk about the did register delegate method. And there we will actually use Parse already, because to use notifications we have to register the devices that are going to be used. So let's create a, you can also create a constant, say current installation, which is a of class pf installation equals pf installation dot current installation. And we will then save the device token from our, what we get here is the device token for the currently used device. So let's set this to the current installation, set device token from data, and there we get the device token. Which I have to copy. All right. And now let's save this current installation in background. And that's it for the basic implementation of notifications. We can also now already implement the application did receive remote notification, with the user info, that's the right one. And we will handle our received notifications later within this delegate method. All right, now so far so good. We have everything set up to receive our remote notifications. Now it's actually time to receive those notifications, and let's go to our compose view controller, because what we will do first is implementing the feature that all suites are that the suites are reloaded, the timeline is reloaded as soon as there is a new suite available. So we will send this. We'll actually send this this notification as soon as someone has finished writing it and send it. So let's prepare for that within send suite. Let's do it, let's say, after we have saved it in background and before we pop back to our view controller. So let's create a push of our push, pf push. It's very easy. And let's just use the basic initializer for that pf push. And now what we want to do is set a channel. And we will use this channel and call it reload in order to decide which devices actually should reload. And we will register everyone who signs up or logs in to this channel. So as soon as we send the push notifications, it will be sent to all devices that have registered to this channel, which we will call reload. Now, this is actually just a silent notification because we do not want to display new suites all the time, even if the app is in background. So what we have to do here is create a dictionary, which will then transmit all our data as JSON code to Parse, which will then send this JSON code to your device. And your device can then interpret this JSON code, and we can later decrypt or parse this JSON string and decide what to do. So let's first create a dictionary, and it's dictionary equals, and now we will initialize it with some key value pairs, which is standardized by Apple, which is first the alert. And we will transfer an empty string here, which will not display any message because there is nothing to, there is no message to be displayed. And we also set the batch option, batch, to 0. So no badge appears, but we say that content is available. Content available. All right, and we will set this to 1 because content will be available as soon as we have sent this push notification. And as well, we set sound to an empty string. You could actually paste there a sound file that you have integrated in your bundle so that that there is a custom sound file every time played when you receive a notification. In our case, we do not want to play a sound because we want it to be silent. So we have kept this empty. Now let's configure our push with this data using set data and set data to it. And now we can actually send our push notification. So let's say push, send push notification in background. And that's it. No more. That's all you need to do to send a push notification using Parse. Now, as I said, we have to register our devices to this channel. So let's do that within our timeline table view controller. And let's see where our right method is, which is show login and sign up. And we have to adjust that a little bit. Show login and sign up. And we will start right here, where we have successfully logged in. And we will then associate the device with a user. This is not, it is in a way necessary because in our case, we have an app where a user can sign out and log in again. And you can also be at another device or log into an iPad or whatever. So let's associate the device with a specific user. And therefore, we will again use the pf installation. So let's say installation, which is a pf installation equals pf installation current installation. And we'll then just say installation user. We will create this new column in our installation table and set this to pf user current user. We can also use this later to send push notifications using our direct messages, but we will come to that soon enough. And we do not have to forget to set our installation with a unique object and unique object. And this unique object is used for the channels that we have talked about. So let's set this to reload for key channels. All right. And actually that's it. We can just say installation, save in background. And we can copy this bunch of code here and paste it also to when our sign up is successful. We can do this after we've presented this view controller, this image picker, and that's it. All right, now we have the ability to send and reload our timeline. But actually we have forgotten something, because we can receive a push notification, but what we can't do is influence our app. So let's go back to app delegate, and let's go to the application did receive remote notification. Well, the cool thing is that there is a parse class which can take care of handling pushes. You just have to say pf push handle push and put this user info object in it, and Parse will do the rest. This will actually do quite fine as long as you do not want to use these silent notifications. So if we want to use silent notifications, we have to do it a little different. So let's put that to the bottom of that. And first, let's create a dictionary, which will then store the notification, which is an NS dictionary, and the user info that we get is actually a dictionary. So let's say user info dot object for key, which should actually work. But it doesn't, so let's just say that this is a NS dictionary. Unwrap it. All right. So let's say user info object for key, and the key that we are looking for is APS, which is the payload that is coming from the from the Parse server, and we will cast it to an NS dictionary, and this should work. Build succeeded. And this dictionary actually contains the data that we have defined earlier. So we can say if notification, we can also spare these parentheses, so we can also say if notification dot object for key, and we can now say content minus available now, and open our curly braces, and if content is available, we can check if there is a if this is set to 1. So if notification dot object for key, and now let me copy that this time, content available, and now we can check is equal to number, not as enable, is equal to number, and if this is equal to 1, then we know that there is that this is our silent notification, and then we can post a local notification within our app. So we will use the NS Notification Center, default center, which has actually nothing to do with the notifications you can see on screen. These notifications you can use to communicate between different classes. So let me say post notification with a name, and we give this the name reload timeline. And we will not pass an object, and we will later use that, as soon as we have finished here, to trigger a function within our timeline view controller to reload our table view. So that is our notification here, and now we can take advantage of this handle push, because if there is no object which says content available, then it is not the notification that we have created to make this silent refresh of our timeline. Then it's a standard notification, and we can take advantage of Parse and the handle push method, which will cause Parse to just display the notification, the direct message, as soon as if the app is in background as a badge, or if the app is opened as an alert view. So we should be finished here. So let's go back to our timeline table view controller, and we will now check the view.load method, which is actually pretty empty right now because we have done a lot of stuff in the view.appear. First of all, we can actually say self-load data, because now when we check our view.appear method, we had a lot of stuff going on here because view.appear was always called when we have returned back from our from the compose view controller, so that or when we have pressed the just when we've returned from the compose view controller, and of course when the app was started, and we always had to call reload data here, but we don't have to do that anymore because now we have this cool push notification feature. So let's remove it here and go back to view.load. And the only thing that is left now is, after view.load for the first time when we launch the app, we can say NS Notification Center default center and actually add an observer for the notification that we have sent earlier in the app delegate. So let's call this, say that the observer is for self, and the selector that we want to call, so the function you want to call when there is when the notification is posted. Let's say this is load data, and the name is, as we have defined it, reload timeline. And there is also no object. Reload timeline. Let me just copy this in case that I have made an error here. So this is all right. And now every time we have received a push notification with the content available data, then we will call this reload data function within our timeline table view controller. Cool. Now that's this feature. Now we have to talk about our direct messages. Direct messages requires us, first of all, to do a little improvement in our user interface. So let me open up the storyboard and make this a little smaller. All right, let's bring up the right bar, and we will again use a table view controller for this. So let's say table view controller. Place it here. And this table view controller shall be displayed as soon as we click on this button that we will now remove. We'll remove our reload button and add another bar button item and call this, just call it here it is, direct message. And as soon as we click on it, let's create a segue. So let's click on it, control drag to our new tail view controller and say push. And we immediately get this, this cool segue that saves us a lot of code. And we also have now to create a new class for this tail view controller. So let's create a new one, or press Command N on the keyboard, or file new file, Cocoa Touch, and this is a UI table view controller, and we will call it, let's say, direct message table view controller, and go to the storyboard and associate it with this one. All right, so click on the view controller, tail view controller, go to the identity inspector and type in direct message tail view controller. Let's close that again and clean this file a little. We won't use this navigation, so let's delete this one. We won't use can move. We won't use rearranging table view cells. We won't use commit editing style, so let's delete that as well. We won't use can edit row at index path. What we will use is self-forrow at index path. This is what we're going to need. And what we will do first, actually, I have forgotten an interface element. We want to use a search bar. So let's bring up a search bar and just drag it, not inside of a tail view cell. Let's put it directly above our table view. And let's create an outlet for our search bar using the assistant editor, and place it right here, directly above viewed load, and call it search bar. Search bar. Connect. And let's go back to standard editor and close this direct message tail view controller and initialize it with UI search bar. All right. You also notice that I do not have to use the init with coder function anymore. This seems to be fixed. And let's now say that this search bar within viewed load needs a delegate so that we can properly work with it. So let's first register it for this protocol, say UI search bar delegate, and let's also connect it. So say search bar dot delegate equals self. All right. Now let's also create an array which can store our user list, which is an mutable array. Initialize it, mutable array, and define a load users function. So let's say function load users. And this time we will give this function a little parameter called name, which is going to be a string. And this has the advantage that we can, every time that the that user has typed something into our search bar, that we can load users again and use a query with a where statement so that we can select only the users that we are actually looking for. So let's define our query. let's call it find users, which is a pf query. And because we are looking for users, we have to use pf_user.query and not a standard query initializer. And now let's say if not name is empty. So if there is actually a name in our parameter, let's say find users where key contains string. All right, so where key username contains string name, which is our parameter. So in any other case, we won't need that. We will just find every user that's available. So let's say find users, find object in background with block, and we will use the Swift closure here in order to get this working. So let's remove the parentheses, open some curly brackets, curly braces, and define our parameter list, which is first of all objects, which is an array of any objects. Mind the new syntax here for arrays, and don't forget to unwrap this one, as well as the arrow, which is an NS arrow. Also unwrap this. And let me add here that some people have asked me why I still use NS mutable array and NS arrow and NS string. Well, it's just because the standard types of Objective-C, NS arrow or NS mutable array, do have a lot more features than some of the Swift data types have. Let me just finish this this closure block here, and let me demonstrate that for a second. Build it. So let me just create a dictionary here, which is a dictionary. Initialize it with a dictionary and a minimum capacity of 2. Actually, there is no object for key or anything like it. And in the contrary, in contrast to the NS dictionary, which immediately gives me the options for object for key, for example. And there are many other examples where you will miss a lot of features in the Swift data types. So feel free to use them, but also be aware that sometimes you have to use the good old NS data types. So let's go back to our search for users. If there is no error here, so if no error occurred, let's say that self.userList, and mind that you have to use self here because we're within a closure, is initialized with NS mutable array with another array, and this array is objects. And then we can actually reload our table view. Reload data. All right. Now we have to call this this load users function. So let's do it within view.load. Say load load users, and we can pass an empty string here because we want to see all users. And now our search bar delegate comes into play when we say search bar did change. This is the first one. And we will just say load user with search text. That's it. And the last one that we have to use is search bar cancel button clicked. Search bar cancel button clicked. So that when the user taps on the little X, that we will display again all of the users available in our database. So let's build and run our app. We want to send push notifications. You see also remote notifications are not supported in the simulator. All right, and now let's see direct messages. And there is no user. And there are, of course, no users because we have forgotten to implement the self-forrowatindexpath method. So let's Let's do that real quick. First of all, let's set the number of sections in table view to 1, and also set the number of rows in section to user list.count, so that we always have the right number of rows. And the last thing we have to do here is create this cell, as we always do, set the reuse identifier to cell, which we also have to do in the storyboard in a minute, and cast it to a UI table view cell. And then we can actually create a user, which is a pf user, and say user list dot object for object at index index path. Let me copy that. Index path dot row, and also cast this one to a pf user, and we then can configure the cell as it is suggested here, and say cell.textLabel.text equals user.username. And that's all there is to it. And before we forget it, let's go to the storyboard, click on our prototype cell, bring up the attributes inspector. I always forget those names, and say that our identifier is cell. All right, now let's run the app again. And as you can see, we have now those 3 users that are currently registered. And if I type a 3, you see that we immediately get the result of 3. If I type 2, we get user 2. And when I click on this cancel button here, then we get all users back. So how did we actually handle how do we actually handle the remote notification so that the user gets informed when we send a direct message to him? Well, we will do it within this table view controller by implementing the didSelectRowAtIndexpath delegate method. So let's say table view and search for it. cd did select row at index path. That's the right one. Give us again some more space here. And we will use, as I told you at the beginning of our tutorial, we'll use an alert view or an alert controller for it. So let's create one, call it message alert. Message alert equals UI alert controller, and you will be familiar with that by now, that we do not have an alert view anymore. We have to use an alert controller, UI alert controller, and we'll set it to give it a title, say new direct message, enter your message, and the preferred style is required UI alert controller style to distinguish if this is an alert sheet, an action sheet, or an alert view. So that's this one. And now we also need a text field. So let's add one, message alert add text field with configuration. This is again a closure, and let's use the syntax that we also use for the parse closures, defining the parameter list here, text field, which is a UI text field, and no return type, so it's void in. And we also have to unwrap this here. Succeeded. And now let's say that this text field gets a little placeholder text, your message. All right, so much for configuration. Now let's add our actions. First of all, say message alert, add action, UI alert action. And the first one is the send button, which will hold the main logic for this part of our app. UI alert action style is default, and in our handler, let's also use the let's use this closure parameter list, which will what we will need is an alert action, which is a UI alert action unwrap it, and also void in. And now let's first decide how we're going to do this. We will have to do one thing first. We have to decide where we want to send this message to. And the great thing about about these push notifications is the Parse push notifications is that you can set a query directly and associate a query with a push object. So the first thing we are going to do is creating a query which will decide to which user, and by saying user, we also mean to which device we're going to send this push notification, so that not user 4 receives a message that should actually be received by user 3. So let's create this push query, pf query equals pf installation query, and say push query where key. And now, because we have defined a user within our pf installation, we can have a look at those. You see now there is a new installation here, and we also have a user associated with it. So let's go back to Xcode and say user. And this time we will not use contain strings, and we will use equal to, and this is self.userlist.object at indexpath.row. So now we have decided to whom we want to send our message. Now let's configure our push. So again, push pf push equals standard initializer. And now let's first set the query, which is our push query. And now we have to decide. We have to get the contents of our content of our text field. So let's say text fields ns array equals message alert text fields as ns array, and also message text field UI text field text fields object at index 0 as UI text field. So with this one, this constant gives will receive all the text fields that are defined within our message alert, and we will then, because we get an array of text fields, even if it only contains one object, we know that it only contains one object, so we can use object at index 0, and this text field constant then receives the text field that is positioned in our message alert, and we will now use this text field to set the message for our push notification. And this is also a very convenient way to define what message you want to send, instead of creating this JSON string, what we did earlier. And what we will use here is, of course, the message text field dot text property. And all we have to do now is send our push. So let's say push dot send push in background. that's it. All right, this was the first of our actions. The second is a little easier. Let's say message alert add action, which is a UI alert action, and this one is very simple. Let's just say cancel style is UI alert action style.default, and we don't need a handler here. Cool. Now the last thing we need to do is present our alert controller. So let's say self-present view controller, message alert. We want it to be animated, so let's set it to true, and no completion handler. Whoa. So let's have a look. Build succeeded. Let me just turn off the firewall for now. Say direct message. Say let's user 3. We get our new alert view. We type in a message, hi there again, send it, and what we have forgotten is we get a notification that client initiated push isn't enabled. So what we have to do, and what you also have to do in Parse, when you click on push notification, you see that there is our push notification. It actually worked pretty well, but you have to activate one little switch within push notification. You have to enable client push enabled. As soon as you have done that, everything is just fine. And this is also the place where you have to upload your push certificates from your developer center. So let's try it again. Let's send a message to user 2. Hi, user 2. Send this message. We shouldn't have received any warning this time. Let's do it again. So there is no warning anymore. And if we have a look at our push notifications, then you see that the status is done and everything worked just fine. So what have we done? We have created a way that enables us to send our suites and reload it automatically. We don't see a reload at the moment because we do not receive push notifications, remote push notifications here in the simulator. So you could also enable or add a feature that if there is no push notification service available at the moment, that you allow for that you integrate a reload button or something like that. So we have this cool new reload feature, so automatic reload, and we also have implemented a cool direct message feature, which includes a search bar. If there are going to be millions of users in the next few years to our cool Swiffer app, then we will have it a lot easier to find one. And we can also send cool direct messages from our app directly to a specific user. And you can also set up the basic stuff around Parse. And actually, that's it for this tutorial. I hope to get your feedback on this one and where you have used it, and if you have any ideas for improvements. We will next week try to integrate some images, send images with this app. I somehow really like it because you can, we have a real live project here which we can improve and use great Parse features within it, and we will also integrate these new notification types, new notification actions in the next time. And we will also in the next time create those notification widgets, maybe for this, for Swiffer, maybe in a little different example. So that's it for today. Have fun trying it out, and see you soon.